Okay, so this is the 7th of August, and we've had a visit to the archives to look at historical records about the kiln and the gravel collection, yet to come up with something definitive that came out of that reading, but it's all interesting and building up a picture. On that occasion, Jeremy was back in Harrow Common for the first time for a while, and he's noticed, just looking at the road surfaces, the original road surface, the current road surface does seem to follow where the original gravels would have been, the height of the gravels would have been. So to either side of the road, we've seen banks of 3 meters, I think, where all the gravel's been removed. So it does look as if we can find a section near there, that the gravels around under the road would be original, if we could dig that up. That's what we're thinking, right, Jeremy?
Yeah,
more or less what you said. That reminds me of something that I was going to say, completely forgot about. I went to Bentley Priory last month, and the grounds of Bentley Priory have been, which were originally a deer park for hundreds of years, would have undisturbed ground. And on the other side of Harrow Common, the other side of the road, you get this open space which is conserved for nature, that I'm sure would just be undisturbed ground. I'd just like to put it out there that the Bentley Priory open space should maybe somewhere that we go for a walk and have a look at it and see what that's like, because people wouldn't have been allowed to dig the gravel from there. And it looks to me as if it would be a good possible site for undisturbed gravel. So what we've been talking about today is really thinking about the bigger picture of the gravels and how this exposure of Stanmore Gravel in Harrow Common might be linked to other exposures of Stanmore Gravel, what is actually classified as Stanmore Gravel, and why, which gravels exist at a similar elevation across the area, and I've suggested something that might be too hard to actually achieve, but to try and get it all onto one sheet of paper with a map or a longitudinal study. Is that what you called it, Peter?
Profile.
A longitudinal profile that shows the different gravels of a similar age, and their elevations across, perhaps from east to west, something like that. Or, well, we'd have to see how to work it out. In my head, I had the idea of a map that showed different elevations, because then it wouldn't have to be on a line. Some of them are, north, south, east, west. They're kind of jumbled up a bit as to where they are, and you wouldn't be able to see that on the longitudinal profile. But I think we should try to do both. It seems like a bit of a tall order to put that together. But if anyone's interested in helping me, I just want to do it for my own sanity, to try and understand what is where and how it might be connected in terms of the height. So the important thing that I have to remember is that the height of the land is not now as it was 2 million years ago, and that it's changed considerably, that the tilt might have changed as well, and that it is tilting more to the northwest, higher to the northwest and lower to the southeast, that a lot of sediment has been removed towards and down into the North Sea, which is then loading the North Sea to make that sink more. Is that what you said, Alan? That the sediments that have been removed from the land mean that the land might rise where the sediments have been removed because of the weight difference.
Yes, yeah.
And that those sediments then end up in the North Sea, which makes that part heavier as well. So to unravel, we know that it's a complicated story to unravel, and that's why we're at the point we are, and everybody else is actually, of having so much that's unknown. We discussed a few publications. We're going to look again at David Bridgeland's paper, and where he mentioned Harrow Weald Common and Bushy Heath in the Quaternary of the Thames. We've been looking at the Geology of London by the BGS, the memoir that was 2004. We're looking at some figures there, and a paper by Brian Lavelle, which Mike has, and he'll send it to be distributed to the group. That's what I've got in my notes. Anything else that I should mention?
No. There was a little bit of mention about using some modern techniques for one of the samples.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
actually, before we did that, the really important point I should have mentioned is that we think that what we should do is get some analysis done first on the stuff that's simple and accessible, which would be some small samples to send for heavy mineral analysis and for sand grain surface. What's that called?
SEM, scanning electronic microscope.
So SEM for the surface markings on the sand grains.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to ask Phil Collins about that. I think we should put some dates in the diary for actually just going back to get some of those, to see if we can. What I still want to do is take away the mud from the one or both of those banks that we've identified, and see what is behind the mud, and maybe collect something from there. Peter, you were saying maybe use an auger to collect these samples.
Bring an auger along now.
Okay, well, I'll send some suggestions off to Phil. But do you have a preferred date, or a date that would be possible, Peter?
I have relatively few fixed points, but if you come to me with any dates, if you give me a little bit of a range in case something has arisen, for instance, taking my wife for a medical appointment, stuff like that. Okay,
so you were saying that Saturdays were better before. Is that still true?
No, any day of the week.
Oh, any day of the week.
Things have got more, have become freer with time. So.
Okay, that's great. Okay, then I'll put some dates down, and we'll see what we can do. Okay, thanks everybody.
Great.
We can stop there.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thanks.
Liz.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next time.
Peter.
Bye.
I'll stop recording. Huh?
Oh yeah. Okay. Bye. Bye.